NFL insiders claim they know what the Chiefs' next move is, and we're going to talk about that. Chiefs Kingdom ACU crew, welcome in, baby. How we all doing? Do us a favor, hit that like button if you haven't already. But before we get started, just got to shout out sponsor of today's live stream, DraftKings.
The next great touchdown is coming, and you can bet on it. All Chiefed Up has teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook, and just because the regular season has ended, it doesn't mean the excitement has to end. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on star player props and in-progress games right as they happen. New customers can even turn $5 into $300 if your bet wins, paid out in bonus bets. So sign up using our promo code ACU. And again, new customers who bet $5 can turn that into $300 if your bet wins, paid out in bonus bets. With DraftKings, the crown is yours. Let's go. Steve, we got a little bit of news today. NFL insiders are claiming they know the Chiefs' next move. And look, they're talking about free agency. Everybody's we're forgetting free agency. Everybody's wanting to get right to the draft. But I think free agency is going to tell the tale when it comes to the draft. So you cannot really skip that. So here's the deal. Nate Taylor works for ESPN, works with the team. He reported on the 30th and the 31st, which was all weekend long basically, that the Chiefs are 100% expected to move on from Isiah Pacheco this offseason. So the Chiefs had already reported that a long time ago. Right. But we're getting more and more and more reports saying that even though Bieniemy's coming back, because a lot of people thought Bieniemy could save Pacheco and KC, that doesn't look like it's going to be the case here, that they are expected to move on. It follows 2 injury-plagued seasons by Pacheco, some underwhelming seasons. He struggled to ever get back to that explosive form after a couple of those injuries. In 2025, he failed to record a single rush this past season of over 20-plus yards. So it's looking like to me, Bieniemy really doesn't want it. They're wanting to restructure this whole entire room, and it looks like that it really is like Pacheco's gone, which is – we all like Pacheco, right? Like he's a good dude, good for the locker room. He's upbeat. He runs hard. Everybody fell in love with Pacheco at first, but it feels like his course is ran here in Kansas City, and he's going to be going somewhere different.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, Pacheco just had that infectious energy, right? He was a fun story. Kid, went through a rough time during high school, went through college, all that stuff. He was like a great story. 7th round draft pick, starting for the team that wins the Super Bowl. Everybody loved Pacheco, and he's got the great personality. But the fact of the matter is, if you go back and watch all of Pacheco's play, he's never been more than just serviceable. He's never had those big runs that you talked about, how he didn't get any over 20 yards. I don't know if I could name off more than, a few that he has his entire career. He's never been the home run hitter that they hoped he would be with the 4.3 speed, and he never turned into a back that could receive out of the backfield like we thought he was going to be able to do. There's just a lot of limitations to his game. And that's not me saying that Pacheco's bad, but he's just not like a top-tier running back. He's just not. And I think that it was kind of obvious they were going to move off of him, after this last season, because they have all these other contracts that they've had to take care of. They already took care of Creed Humphrey. They already took care of Trace Smith. And they still got Leo to go. They got Trent McDuffie to go. And there's just a lot on the plate, man. And with the Chiefs, the entire fan base knows that they need a run game up in here. They need a run game, right? So I think it's pretty obvious. The writing was on the wall that Pacheco was done.
Steve, they're saying that your sound's horrible. They can't hear you. It's scratchy. And it is on my end, too. It sounds like you're in you're saying this. And I don't know what's going on. So I don't know. It could just be your internet connection. It is what it is. So here we are. I'll say this. Pop does bring the energy, but that's not happened for bringing the energy is one thing, but you have to perform on the field. I feel like Andy Reid, we've got to get back to those Andy Reid prime things where we've got to get running backs that can catch the ball in the backfield, we've got to get somebody who can come in here and do things the right way. And again, we've not really replaced Jerick McKinnon in that role. So we need to find somebody that can do that. I think we have found them with last year's 7th round pick, but it's time to start investing in someone that's going to be able to tote the rock, 15, 20 times a game. Hopefully that Andy can rely on and want to run the ball 20 times a game and be that home run hitter, that threat. I'm sorry. Got a little choked up talking about it, man. I just want that home run threat. But yeah, we need that explosiveness back in the backfield. And it's like we all, we like Pop, but his vision's bad. It's never got better. He's had to suffer through 2 years now, I think, of Todd Pinkston, who is a horrible running backs coach and probably hasn't done anything. But Bieniemy, we've heard from the Chiefs now. It was on NFL Network. Chiefs.com reported it. It was on January 19th and January 2020 or January 23rd, I believe. So it's been a couple weeks ago. But they are both speaking on Bieniemy's return as OC, and every one of them stated specifically, and a lot of people overlook this, and even the New York Times, The Athletic reported this, is that the Chiefs indicated that Eric Bieniemy is going to be tasked with reshaping this run blocking scheme and improving the offensive discipline in the running back room. So he's not just going to be the coordinator. They're going to use his time as a running back to reshape this entire scheme possibly and to bring in some new ideas and to get this whole thing up to par. And I just believe that if Eric Bieniemy, if he wanted Pacheco and he felt like there was a need for Pacheco, and I don't think they want to give him that contract, but I don't know what kind of contract Pacheco even wants. But I think just seeing it is just nobody wants Pacheco at this point. And I don't want to sound mean to him, but after 4 years in the league, you are what you are at this point. Like, his vision's just not good. The injuries have taken a toll. I think it's time to move on. We've either got to throw some money at somebody in free agency or we got to draft. And it's all coming down to a lot of people in Chiefs Kingdom. It's Breece Hall in free agency. There's a few considering like Travis Etienne or somebody like that. But it's basically Breece Hall, and then it's go to the draft and take Jeremiah Love with pick number 9. That is where everybody's at. And so, McCullough come in. He may be the new running back coach. He's got the ties to Jeremiah Love that was firing people up. But Bieniemy and everybody, I have a feeling that they have got to go into free agency here, and they've got to take care of this problem in free agency. Because if you get to the draft and Jeremiah Love magically isn't on the board at number 9, or you just decide, hey, we need some bigger playmakers. We need different positions. We need pass rushers. We need this. We need that. God forbid Rasheed Rice does something stupid. You need another. This is just a thing where you always need, and you need to have best player available. You can't be so pigeonholed on that. So I feel like they've got to address it in free agency, Steve. And more than likely, it does have to be Breece Hall.
Yeah, I think that's the obvious choice. And you guys let me know. I know that I can't really help the internet connection, but whatever. Y'all let me know how it's going. If not, I'll just reboot and we'll try again. But my whole thing is, Mike, Breece Hall makes the most sense just because we know that Brett Veach was after him in free agency. Or I'm sorry, before the trade deadline. It was reported widely that he was trying to get him. They couldn't come to terms on what the trade was going to be, the compensation. So I think that makes the most sense that Brett Veach still likes his guy. He still knows that's who he wants. I'm sure Andy had a say in that. I'm sure Pat had a say in that. I'm sure all the big names had a say in that. So the problem with Hall, man, is he's going to cost a lot of money. Now, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but they're going to raise the salary cap. You have a lot of restructures that have to get done. You got some players that are going to get cut, and there probably will be a little decent chunk there once Brett Veach gets everything settled. So they can make a move or two in free agency. Are they going to home run hit this time, or are they going to continue what they always do and just go out and get some little pieces here and there and try to hit in the draft? But like you said, there's no guarantee that Jeremiah Love's going to be sitting there at number 9, because I don't know if he will be, to be quite honest about it. I know we talked about him a lot the other day, Mike. We don't know if he's all the way in that tier of Bijan Robinson and Saquon Barkley, but there's a massive gap between him and the next running back in that draft. A huge gap. So if anyone wants to fill that need and they want to make a big swing at it, he's the one. And you have to go early. It's almost the equivalent of like Jahmyr Gibbs. Like the Lions took him pretty early in the first round. A lot of people thought he could fall, maybe even to the Chiefs that year. But no, I mean, when they're out there, they have that kind of talent. They're going to get taken. So I think if you want to be sure that you redo this running back room, you do it through free agency. But I think if you want to play with it a little bit or risk it, then maybe you could wait for the draft. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think Breece Hall has to be the number one on your list, probably because Brett Veach has shown that that's who he wanted. He tried to make the trade. I do think he's on the radar. And I think looking at it from a Chiefs fan perspective, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think that you have to look at that particular scenario and say, look, the Chiefs, if they can afford this and if they can make this work. And there may be ways to do this. We're going to talk about this in a minute. But there's ways to do this, and I think you have to look at that. And a lot of people are spouting off again, Travis Etienne, Kenneth Walker III. All these guys are going to cost pretty close to the same amount. I mean, there might be a couple million in between, things like that. But like you mentioned, when you get to the draft, Jeremiah Love is kind of heads and shoulders above everybody else. Now, I do think that this is a deep running back class. And a lot of people's got the first two running backs possibly coming both out of Notre Dame, and Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love. And you may be right about that. A lot of draft boards could possibly have that. But you have a lot of depth at running back. And just because there's a lot of depth doesn't mean that there's a lot of guys that will be drafted in the first two rounds. I could see Jadarian Price, if somebody falls in love with him, being drafted late in the first or early in the second. I could also see him not being the second running back off the board. I could see somebody maybe taking a Katron Allen or somebody like that if they fall in love with him during the process. I could also see all these guys not getting drafted to the third round. And I could see the fourth and the fifth round and maybe the end of the third, middle of the third through the middle of the fifth being a sweet spot for running backs in this draft. There's a lot of good guys. Mike Washington Jr. out of Arkansas is one that everybody's picked up on finally. You've got a lot of guys in there that can do some damage. And so I don't know if Veach needs to just concentrate on Jeremiah Love or bust. I think you've got to look at it elsewhere. But the reason that the Breece Hall rumors keep coming back is because Cameron Wiley from Stadium Rant, who has an online publication, and PFF, Pro Football Network, they both predicted in January and as recently as today, February the 1st, that the Chiefs are going to be one of the top pursuers of Breece Hall in free agency. And so the rumors are gaining traction. And again, you still got probably 6 weeks till free agency, somewhere in that. So we know the Jets were shopping them. We know that they're talking about maybe coming in and doing some kind of a tag with them, a franchise tag. I think that's crazy. But you've got all these rumors. And so for the time being, the Chiefs are sitting at the top of the Breece Hall rumor market. And I think you really have to take it seriously for now. And Breece Hall, in my opinion, maybe not financially, but I think Breece Hall is a better running back option for like the short term than Jeremiah Love, is he not?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we already know what he is. Jeremiah Love, I mean, we think we know what he can be, but we don't know for sure how that's going to translate, right? Like, I'm kind of assuming that he's going to be somewhere in that Jahmyr Gibbs type level, but I mean, he's just got a lot of promise, right? Like, he's got a high ceiling. Like, he has all the intangibles. He looks like he's going to be a good NFL running back. We know Breece Hall has that. Breece Hall's been hampered in New York. So you get him in a different system, then you never really know, man. So, I mean, I think either way you go there, the Chiefs are improving their running game regardless, right? It's not like, one's wrong, one's right. But I feel like either way you're going to improve by moving on from Pacheco and getting a guy like that. Shout out Tammy with the 2 bombs. Says we play RPO, but we never are. We just P. Love plays RPO. So I think both of them, could get into the RPO system.
Yeah. I'm going to say, we don't do anything. It's an option, a run-pass option. And with the option, there needs to be an option. And the funny thing is that Mahomes, we've talked about this time and time again. Mahomes does. I'm never saying Mahomes isn't making the right decision. And let's hope Steve's finally going to fix that internet, because he's about to annoy me today. But here's the thing. I'm never going to say that Mahomes is making bad decisions and whatever. I think Mahomes is absolutely probably making the right decision on the field. But the thing about it is that Mahomes looks at what the defense gives him and he determines what he has to do. And yes, he may take a 6-yard pass, a 5-yard pass, an 8-yard pass. He may do this time and time and time again. But still, nothing replaces the threat of an actual run to pick those up. Yes, you can short pass all day long to simulate a run game. Andy Reid does this constantly with the quick bubble screens and this and that. Sometimes we're very effective doing it. But it does not take away from the fact that you still do not have the threat of a run. And in certain situations, it just don't happen. And defenses can obviously give you this over and over and over again to force Mahomes to do that, to always keep you in that kind of thing. Then they can use it against them. You can look back at, I want to say, maybe Jacksonville. I think we were doing this stupid RPO over and over, and they kind of baited Mahomes into throwing that interception on the goal line there. They ended up returning it and running the entire game for us. So I'm pretty sure that defenses aren't dumb enough to know what they're doing. I think that they're letting Mahomes do what he wants, and in the end, it's getting the Chiefs out of an offensive rhythm, and they're baiting him into bad things. So let's hope Steve's getting all this worked out. I will keep going to some comments and things. But another thing I kind of wanted to talk about, and we'll talk about it as soon as Steve can get back here, is we've had some recent changes in the entire league. It was just talked about yesterday or the day before. It was just one of these few days. All these days are starting to run together for me. But we're starting to see that the league has now projected that in 2026 that we're going to have a record-setting 301 to like 305 million cap space. And we'll talk about how that impacts the Chiefs. Steve's back now, so we'll just go ahead and get into that. Steve, how do you think, because this is going to go in, can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Just making sure you're good. Okay.
Yeah.
So the NFL's saying now that the cap could be at 301 to 305. This is a big time for the Chiefs in a way, because we have tons of questions. Like, there were tons of questions about that. How are the Chiefs going to be able to fix this? And I know we all come up with the scenarios, who you can cut, who you can do this, who you can do that. But this is a huge sigh of relief for the Chiefs. It's like finding, an extra $10 or $15 million in your pocket that you're able to play with, man. Like, you thought you were broke. You go to Walmart and you're like, man, I can barely afford this. And then you find a $20 bill in your pocket. That's essentially what just happened for the Chiefs here. And it could very much help the Chiefs either A, not have to cut a lot of veterans that we may had to have cut or consider cutting. And then also, you maybe don't have to go to Chris Jones and restructure some things. Now you may not have to worry about, maybe if you want to extend McDuffie, you got a little extra money. But it makes the options better, and it makes you be able to go out and pursue some guys in free agency that maybe you couldn't think about. And there's another reason that maybe Breece Hall's not off the table.
Right. Well, I mean, you said it's like finding an extra $15 million in your pocket. It's $30 million. It's a huge gap. So you go from being like almost, what are we right now? 52 million over the cap or something crazy like that. So essentially, you cut that in over half. Then you get the Mahomes restructure done. Then you get rid of Juwan Taylor. Then you do a couple other little things, and all of a sudden you're re-signing Leo Chanel. You're maybe getting a Breece Hall or a Kyle Pitts or Isaiah Likely or whatever you want to add to this offense, or a Boye Mafe if they want to go after pass rush, and it goes vice versa in the draft. It just really depends on how they want to attack it. So, I mean, I
see people in the comments.
A lot of different options.
Right. Justin in the comments says, well, everybody else gets an extra $30 million too. Well, absolutely. But everybody else is not, shit ton over the cap either. So it helps everybody, but it definitely helps us. It gets us back to being more cap compliant to kick off the new year. So, I mean, that's a good thing. I think that Mr. Andrew said we're about minus 60 million under right now. Yeah, we're way under. That's the thing. Like, we got to figure this out. I know the Mahomes restructure is going to be a decent amount. He always does this. That's just how he's set up. But the Chiefs have got to figure out a good way to get into free agency, but be a player in free agency, I believe. I don't think we can always just neglect free agency.
They've never done what they needed to do in free agency. They've always kind of done little bitty things here and there, and they just never went out there and actually been a player. Like, you never see Brett Veach involved in trying to get a big name proven player that can come in here and make an impact. You never see that in free agency. And I think that's what's caught up with him. I mean, you can only hit in the draft so many times.
Right.
And I think he's done a decent job of doing that. But like I said, you're not going to be 100% across the board. And if you're not getting out there and getting proven guys that can come in here and change this thing or improve this football team, then you got a problem when you start only hitting 50% of the draft. So I think it only makes sense to be a player in free agency. And I think this is a year where you have to do it, especially with the holes that we have.
Right. The cap is going up more and more every year. So it went up a little bit more this year than people expected. And like I said, it gives you that little bit of a cushion. A lot of our contracts are set up to be able to readjust. We've talked about this over and over. There's some big-time moves that we need to make. We probably cut Jawan Taylor, and you free up $20 million. I think it was projected the other day that they could just restructure him and say $15 million. So basically, you'd get Jawan Taylor for $5 million. I still don't know if a lot of Chiefs fans would want that or not, but I'm just saying there's many things you can do here. The Chiefs aren't in a salary cap. Like, people are acting like we're in like some kind of a salary cap hell that we can't get out of, and that's just not true. That's not the way this is designed. Right. We tend to do this every year. It's not a big deal. So Brett Veach is going to get through it. That's not a problem. I think that this is what kind of people are begging for him to do. On the back end, once you fix the problem and get us cap compliant, get us back money to work with, you've got to start using that a little bit in some more premium positions, especially like running back. I don't think it's time that we can just continue. We're at a phase in Mahomes' career, and we're at like a crossroads here with the Chiefs going forward. We need to continue building this dynasty. We've got to do this. We've got to do that. I think you've got to focus more on some playmakers, and I think running back doesn't need to be as overlooked as it's been overlooked over the past few years. Yes, we've made it work, but I do think if the money's right, you have to try to take a shot here to get a more dynamic running back in the backfield.
Absolutely. I think everyone's ready for that, and I think it's obvious improvement that we have to make. Now, on the flip side, dude, defense, we've been saying we have to get some pass rush, and they have invested in the pass rush. They drafted Ashton Gelati. They drafted Omar Norman-Lott. Obviously, things happen there, but I think they still have to focus on making sure we have a good pass rush. And then if they can't re-sign McDuffie, or say they can't get Leo Chanel back, and they have to do some things, there's definitely some holes on this team regardless. And I think you never can, ignore the offensive line. Even though that offensive line did improve a little bit, we still lost Joe Thuney, so that was kind of a hit, even though Kingsley did step up into that position pretty well, probably better than people thought. But, I mean, when you're looking at the draft as a whole, I think there's lots of different things that Chiefs can keep improving on. And, you can't just kind of pigeonhole it to one thing. A lot of people's like, oh, well, if Matt Nagy leaves and we get a running back that can, break a run open at any given time, then Chiefs are going to win every game. And it's like, it's not that easy.
Right.
There's so many other things. Like, you go look at our defense. Our defense played respectable this year, but they can't get teams off the field on third down. They never get pressure on any quarterback, so they get picked apart by mediocre quarterbacks that shouldn't be doing it. And then, of course, that puts a lot of pressure on your corners when you're not getting any pressure on the quarterback. So, I mean, the Shamari Connor thing was a headache. I mean, you saw different personnel choices by the coaching staff that just were not it, and they kept on going. So, I mean, everybody holds a piece of the pie. But I think the way that you have to attack the offseason is, what are the biggest players? Like, what are the biggest factors? Which, like we talked about, is running back and pass rush. I think that's the main two, in my opinion. But, Mike, our receivers sucked too. When you kind of brought that little chart up the other day.
Yeah, they're horrible.
Our receivers are the worst in the league at getting open or creating separation, which is insanity because they're faster than everybody else in the league. So, I mean, there are a lot of different things to look at. And it's really going to take Brett Veach getting together with Andy Reid, getting together with Eric Bieniemy, and them all just, all these new guys that come in, like Chad O'Shea and some of the other guys that are new to the squad, and figuring out how they want to attack it.
Yeah, absolutely. Our receivers are complete trash. Like, they're just not getting open. And this includes Rasheed Rice. It includes Hollywood, which is not even under contract. It includes Xavier Worthy. Nobody's getting open. They're not getting open in man. They're not getting open in zone. The only one that was getting open in zone is Juju. He's not under contract. Honestly, don't even know if he should be back under contract. We just got a little bit of like a retool we have to do. And it's not a retool. Like, we have to reload, and we got to reload quick. I do think that Patrick Mahomes needs these weapons, and he needs them this year for sure, because he's coming back from an injury. He may not be as mobile. He may not be as confident in that knee. And he just needs some help. It's time that we get Mahomes more help. And you got to do it with the receiver. You got to do it with running back. The offensive line, I think, continues to get better this year. I think you're going to have Josh Simmons on year 2. He's going to look better. Hopefully he has no more family issues he has to attend to. Kingsley, second year at left guard. He should look a lot better. Creed, he's world class. We know Trey Smith's solid. And then right tackle, you're going to have a little Jalen Moore. If you restructure Jawan Taylor's fine as long as he stops committing penalties. So you've got that. You've also got Esapole, who's by all means has put in a solid rookie stint, even though it was limited action. So there's many things that's making the offensive line feel like they're fine. I think, again, it's just receiver, it's scheme, it's running back. And that's the 3 big problems with this Chiefs team, in my opinion. So we'll have to see how they handle it. The extra cap money is a positive for the Chiefs. There's just no way to look around that. The other big thing going on right now is that it's been widely reported, and I'll go ahead and bring this up here. It's been widely reported that it looks like the Las Vegas Raiders are going to hire Seattle Seahawks offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak.
I saw that.
Yeah, so it's kind of, it is what it is. You're going to have another solid coach, another solid younger coach now in the AFC West. And I mean, it looks to me like this is a good hire for the Raiders. It's a solid hire, in my opinion. Kubiak, he's led the Seahawks and Sam Darnold to the Super Bowl here. They were first in scoring, third in total yards this year. He's a Shanahan descendant. He was in the Shanahan coaching tree. So he's been with Minnesota. He's helped coach them up. Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, I'm pretty sure. I think he had Justin Jefferson when he had his record-breaking early season where he had like 1,600 yards back in 2021. He helped coach Derek Carr with the Saints. Sam Darnold this year, he actually looked really good, went 14-3 with Sam Darnold. But yeah, he's been with the Vikings, the Saints, the Seahawks now. It looks like a good hire, man. Brady said that him and Spytek worked together to make this happen. They found common ground with Kubiak because he's meticulous. They think he can mentor a young QB, and we all know that Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana is probably going to be the first pick. You've got Brock Bowers to work with. You've got Ashton Genty. Kubiak runs. I mean, Kubiak's offense is rhythm passing. It's RPO. It's 12, 13 personnel. It's wide zone running. It's, like I said, it's heavy personnel. This is exactly what Mendoza does. Mendoza is a prototypical West Coast operator. Like, right. That's what he thrives on. So I think this is does it take Fernando Mendoza off the first pick of the draft? I think this actually helps improve Mendoza's shot to get better in this league. And this could be a young little combination along with, again, Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers that could start making some noise here in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders are doing it the right way now. I mean, they're kind of taking I wouldn't say a page of the playbook for the Denver Broncos because they went and got Sean Payton. He's a proven guy. But Kubiak, I mean, he's kind of the up-and-comer, and I think he was one of the bigger names, in this coaching cycle after what he did with Seattle, right? I think a lot of people wanted to get after him, and just having all that freed-up cap space. They have $90 million opening cap space. They got, Tom Brady is a part owner. They're going to get Mendoza. I think it's kind of like a reboot for them. So I don't expect them to come out and just set the world on fire the first season that they have Kubiak and they have all these new kids and stuff, but I think they're definitely heading in the right direction. They're trending in the right direction. And then before you know it, dude, there could be 4 highly competitive teams in the AFC West. So the Chiefs have got to continue to stay ahead of the curve. And they failed to do that miserably in the last couple of years, and that's what finally caught up with them. That's how we missed the playoffs. They got to get back ahead of that. And how do you do that, Mike? I don't think you can draft your way out of that. And that's kind of been the topic here is just free agency and big pieces like a Breece Hall or big changes like that. I think you have to do that to get caught back up with the rest of the division here, because you kind of been sitting on your thumbs for 2-3 years doing the same thing over and over and over, and just hoping it was going to sustain, and it's just not sustainable.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're doing it right. I think Brady, he wanted to make the big splash. I think with Kubiak getting signed, I think you could throw out that rumor of the whole Lamar Jackson thing. I don't know if that would ever come to fruition. But then again, if they're not completely sold on Mendoza, or they're not completely sold on, I just don't think this is a good quarterback, draft.
No, it's really not. It's really not.
It's not. So, I mean, you give up 2 first-round picks or 3 first-round picks for Lamar Jackson. I don't know if that's even a bad deal. Like, honestly, I'd almost take it. But, yeah, I think Kubiak's a good hire there. A lot of people said, this was funny, they said that when Kubiak gets hired, that makes Andy Reid instantly the worst offensive mind in the AFC West. Are you buying that one?
No, of course not.
True. But, I mean, Sean Payton looks pretty good, and he was doing it with a really mediocre quarterback, honestly.
I would go quite the opposite. I think their offense is the reason why they didn't get anywhere. Like, I mean, obviously the AFC Championship is getting somewhere, but, like, their defense carried a ton. I mean, it's not like their offense was lighting the world on fire. I think the most points they scored the entire year was probably in the fourth quarter of the Giants game when they laid down and took a dump, Like, right. I don't feel like Bo Nix is great as people make him out to be. I don't think the offense puts up a lot of points. It's just like they were just doing just enough to win some games with a very elite defense.
Right. But we also got Mike McDaniels in the conference now. Like, can we load the AFC West up anymore? Like, what are we doing in the AFC West? Like, has this just become like it's like the SEC there for a few years, or like the ACC back in the golden era of basketball there, like 5, 6, 7 years ago? It's like, why are we just loading up the AFC West so hardcore?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks for the Chiefs, right? But once again, like I said, it kind of caught up to them. Because if you're not evolving, you're falling behind in the NFL. And we all know that we've seen probably the exact same formula, the exact same offensive schemes. I mean, to just a complete detriment, dude. Like, we're calling plays from our couch. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know what they're going to do before they do it.
Yeah.
Of course, these defensive coordinators know what they're going to do. And these players are prepped for it. They've been watching tape all week. That's why you saw Rasheed Rice getting his head knocked off every other week, because they knew what plays were coming. And now it's time, you got to switch this whole thing up. Like, it's not just a little tweak here and there that's going to do it. I think it's going to have to be a nice little shift here. And I think that Andy, is going to have EB reboot that entire run game. And I think Andy's going to have to start using it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sammy says the running back room, the safety room, and the wide receiver room looks very lackluster. I mean, it does at this point. It looks horrible. The running back room has nobody under contract except for our 7th-round pick last year, basically. The safety room, you don't have Brian Cook under. Like, they acted like Jaden Hicks couldn't even do anything last year. They acted like he was just horrible.
Right.
Shamari Connor is horrible. Mike Edwards isn't going to be back with the team. There ain't no way. I think that ship sailed. Christian Roland Wallace, cool. I like him. He plays more the hybrid back and forth between that and, different things. He's almost considered like a corner or whatever, but we got to get some stuff there. And, of course, the wide receiver room, we talked about it. Like, Rasheed Rice has one more year. They're probably not locking him up long term. You've got an undersized wide receiver, a gadget guy, and Xavier Worthy. And other than that, you don't have Hollywood back. You don't have Juju back. You've got Jalen Royals, who we drafted last year, who apparently couldn't find the Tylenol to get on the field. We don't even know what he's going to look like. Like, they just babied him through the whole season. We didn't even get a single look at that kid. So we just got a lot of problems here in those 3 rooms. Sammy's not wrong. That's 100% right. Chiefs have to do something here. I guess we'll go. I'm going to use that to get into the next topic here. But first, we've got Trini's. I guess that's how it's pronounced. I don't want to say it wrong. Just hoping for AFC West to have a really bad offseason.
That's Renee, brother. That's
Renee.
Renee.
Oh, T. Renee. My bad. Okay. Sorry. Just hoping for the AFC West to have a really bad offseason and draft. Dude, it's almost impossible. Like, it's not impossible, but all these guys. Like, like, for example, if McDaniel's coming in, they're going to go get guys that McDaniel wants. They're not going to bring him in and then be like, well, we're not going to spend no money for you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They're not going to bring Kubiak in. Like, the Raiders have more money than anybody in football right now. So these dudes are going to come in. They're going to spend. Let's just look at what the Patriots. Like, yes, the Patriots look pretty good. Drake May looks okay. He looks serviceable. Vrabel's done a good job. They spent $300 million in free agency last year. That's why these teams are being able to go from worst to first so seamlessly. But every once in a while, you'll get those like Houston. When they did it, it didn't really pan out for them. They didn't do a good job of signing, guys to fit the scheme. So I think if you sign the right dudes, I just think like Brady having his hand on the Raiders more than what he did and like getting everybody else that like routinely screws the Raiders up out of the process. I think the Raiders could actually make some noise sooner rather than later because I think Brady will actually make decent decisions this offseason with all that money.
I think so too. Guys, do us a favor, hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Sorry, the feed's been a little crappy today, but whatever. I just started using my phone. I think it's doing fine now. So it is what it is. But either way, we'd appreciate you guys if you just hit the like button, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Mike, let's switch the gears just a little bit. And it's we're still on the same subject, but do you think that you might see more take place this offseason than people are like bargaining for? Because we know that there's already been, talks of trading Trent McDuffie. People are saying to trade Chris Jones. You got people saying that we're not going to keep Rasheed Rice around, so we got to do something with that. Do you think we might start seeing some, dominoes fall into place that are actually a longer term play than just this offseason, where they might go ahead and remove themselves from a Rasheed Rice or something of that nature? Or even, a lot of people are fully expecting them to re-sign Leo Chanel, and I hope they do, but if they decide to move on from him, if they decide to trade Trent McDuffie, like, do you think you're going to see some stuff like that? Or do you think it's going to be mostly, let's fill in the gaps here. Let's get some guys in here that can change this up, help us out, and go from there. What do you think?
Okay. Well, this starts with the fact that Brett Veach has to get his cap compliant. And the way you do that is addition by subtraction. And so if you're subtracting contracts, you're subtracting players off of the roster, you have to refill those players on the roster. And right now, we don't have a lot of draft picks. We don't have a lot of draft capital. So you can't, like I think right now we've got 5, 6, 7 picks, somewhere in that range. We may get some more comps. But we don't have a draft pick in the 6th or the 7th round as of right now. When comps get released, we'll see what happens. But they're thinking that could be another 5th round pick possibly. So we could have maybe 6 picks, maybe 7. I don't remember exactly. But the point is you may, so for example, we were talking about, getting rid of Jawan Taylor, saving $20 million, maybe getting rid of Drew Tranquil, maybe getting rid of, Mike Dana, maybe getting rid of, I've seen other names being thrown around too. That's all possible, but now you've opened up, say, 4 more spots you've got to fill, and you can't just go fill it with some kind of rookie or UDFA. You're not going to get good quality there. Like, we're trying to make a good run here, so you're going to have to fill it with a decent, solid guy in free agency. And that means you're going to have to draft somebody or you're going to have to sign somebody. We just don't have all this. So he's got a mess. So all these people we want to cut and this and that, it's possible he could just start restructuring a bunch of contracts more than cutting people. So it wouldn't surprise me. Again, I know people's going to rage, but it wouldn't surprise me. We've been saying this for years that they could just restructure Jawan Taylor more than cutting him. And yes, you're not going to save 20, but you would save 15. And that might be a little easier than going out on the market, and you don't have to really waste a draft pick on a tackle now. And you've got your backups with Moore and Esapole for a season or two. Pole longer than Moore. But you've got all this transition. You can get Jawan Taylor back in on a decent contract now that fits what he does for 3 years, maybe 2, 5 years, somewhere, and put those dead years on it, different things that Brett Veach likes to do. But then let's go ahead and look at these other guys. Like, so now we're talking about maybe you have to cut people to get compliant, but now we're wanting to trade Chris Jones, who's arguably the best player on our defense. And I know he's getting older, but he's still the defense. He's the heart and soul of the defense.
I feel like that's too big of a hole to try to fill. Like that's just that to me, that's a death nail. Like if you go try to trade Chris Jones right now and just get some draft capital, you're not
Right.
replacing him. Even if you get Peter Woods, you're not replacing Chris
You're
Jones.
not
It's just not
replacing Chris
happening.
Jones 1-for-1. It ain't happening.
Right.
You would
Exactly.
honestly
He's the biggest part of our defense. He's the biggest part of our pass rush.
right. You'd have to turn around and trade for a guy that's just going to be equally expensive. And so, who's the next guy, people? Trent McDuffie. Now you're arguably trading the second best player or the first best, depending on whether or not Chris Jones is playing well or not up to par. So you're
Right.
talking about now getting rid of the two biggest people on our defense, and so Leo, you may lose him. I think Leo's contract is going to be weird. He's not really got to play a lot of snaps here. We've almost seen his development be stunted because of the way we use him. It's possible Leo could have been a hell of a pass rusher here on certain things. He could have done a lot more here and there to help himself to get a second contract. So it's possible that his contract's not going to be as big as people are projecting because people just don't have a lot of film on him to see if he can do what they need him to do. Now, I do think
Right.
Leo's really good and could possibly do it. So that contract could go either way. It could be out of our ballpark or it could be good enough for us to get back. But I think what I was trying to get at with the whole Chris Jones and everything is we cannot keep subtracting when we've only got, say, 6 picks. Now you're going to have to start trying to trade back over and over and pull in more picks. You still got to sign these guys. And yes, they're cheaper than free agents, but we just talked about it. We've got to start making some moves in free agency. You got to maybe look at a Breece Hall or something. Like, we have to keep this thing competitive. When you start talking about trading Chris Jones and you're doing this, you're trading McDuffie, I get McDuffie could draw you a first-round pick. He absolutely could. It could be a late first. McDuffie may just get you a second and a second next year. All those might be good options. You're going to save $13.5 million this year. All these might be okay options. But if you trade McDuffie like that, who do you really have that is super, super reliable for you? Because Noah Williams we got to see for 1 year. How many guys do we see come in and slump during their sophomore season? You could have a huge sophomore slump. Christian Fulton is not even reliable. And so where do you really do? Like, you can draft another one, but now you're taking, even if you pick, I think it was, let me bring this up. I'm not going to bring it up, but I'm trying to find it. I don't want to get it wrong. Just today, Arrowhead Pride and Yahoo Sports had put out some cap analysis and some mock drafts. And again, I'll tend to look at everybody's mock drafts, and a lot of people are taking, Jeremiah Love and Reuben Bain if he falls and this and that. You'll get the random Peter Woods or the McKylem, and it is what it is. But we actually seen another pick today that I thought was crazy. People are starting to come around to the prospect of taking Caleb Downs, which I absolutely agree with if he's there at number 9. I don't give a shit if he's a safety or he's a quarterback. Caleb Downs the best. He's almost the purest blue chip can't miss guy in this entire draft. Like,
Yeah,
I think
I
only
agree.
him. Yes, I think only him and Jeremiah Love right now are like my only two like blue chippers that I can think of. And of course, they could both be there on the clock, and then that makes a really crazy decision. But they're saying Caleb Downs would probably be a good one. But people are starting to throw out corners. They're starting to say that we should trade McDuffie, save up the $13 million, and that way we don't have to pay $25 million plus for the next 4 or 5 years. Maybe giving up a $100 million plus contract over the next few years that we're on the hook for. And taking a corner at number 9, like Jermod McCoy out of Tennessee. That was a name that just got drafted to us today. Now, look, I like Jermod McCoy as good as the next guy, but this kid didn't even play all last season. So he's not even been in football this year. He's got good intangibles, but at number 9 is crazy. But I see the logic here. You get rid of McDuffie for that $100 million plus contract for the next 4 or 5 years, and you just rotate the cornerback room. And it is smart knowing that this is what Brett Veach tends to do. But at some point, you got to break the cycle, because I don't know if this is the year to do that because we're so low on talent right now across the board.
Right. Yeah, like I said, just like with the Chris Jones thing, I don't know if you could take that big of a risk, especially coming off of a season that was a complete failure. I mean, 6-11, missed the playoffs. I don't know if you take a big risk right now. I think you do what you know can fix the immediate problem. And then from there, you can kind of get back into that draft strategy and this and that. But I mean, for right now, dude, I think you go out and you do anything and everything you can to immediately improve this roster and not waste another year of Patrick Mahomes' prime.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't hardly do it. So I feel like they've got to save money in free agency. This 301 to 305 cap that may extend that an extra 25, 30 million or whatever the number is it gives you extra. That may help you be able to get a guy like a Breece Hall and not have to go trade a Chris Jones, which I don't think anybody's going to take Chris Jones for what we had won out of him. He's too old.
Right.
Would people want him? Absolutely, but they're not going to give you a first-round pick. You're not getting that. And I don't even think you get a second-round pick out of Chris Jones, honestly, at this late in his career. If it is, it's going to be a late second. But I just don't – I don't know if you have to get rid of McDuffie now because of this. And you could still go out and purchase, Breece Hall, being the Breece Hall thing. So Sammy with a 2 says Royals has the ability to be in or outside, need a wide receiver 1. Steve, do you think Royals could be wide receiver 1 in KC? Because we didn't even get to the whole Rasheed Rice thing yet.
I mean, okay, maybe I should just say no that quick. Could he be? Sure. I'm sure there's a slight possibility, but from what we know, no. Like, that's definitely something that you can't.
I think Sammy's saying we need a wide receiver 1, so they're not really saying that Royals is that wide receiver 1 either.
No, but Royals could absolutely take that spot of, playing in the slot and doing a lot of the little things here and there that could maybe allow us to have a wide receiver 1. And that's been an ongoing discussion with Chiefs fans for years now. It's like, we never have a wide receiver 1. And it's like, it's just Andy, man. He just never hardly does. I mean, you have to go back to freaking Terrell Owens or something.
Isn't this the Veach Chiefs role, though? Like, when you're paying a quarterback $500 million, even though his contract's great, and you give so much money to Chris Jones, and you may have to, like, they give questionable contracts now to Trey Smith, way too much money possibly. You've got Nick Bolton maybe got paid a little bit too much money for a lot of people, but you've got all these guys, like, you have to skimp somewhere, and it seems like they're always skimping on the wide receiver position and the running back position. Yep. So it feels like a lot of Chiefs Kingdoms wanting to get off of that, and we're wanting to try something different. But is a leopard going to change its spots? I don't know.
Well, I think some of it goes with your draft strategy as well, right? Because if you're tired of that kind of thing, which I know most of the fan base is, especially when you talk about receivers, you got to stop finding these ridiculous little receivers that you think are going to be Tyreek Hill, and you just have to go out and get the best talent available. I mean, Brett Veach could have had DK Metcalf a long time ago. He could have had George Pickens a long time ago, and us not be talking about this crap right now. But instead, they always get cute. They always try to draft the little speedster, with McCole Hardman and Sky Moore. It's like, now, you might want to change your draft strategy a little bit. Now, I'll say Rasheed Rice and, Jalen Royals, they're both a little bit off of that.
I think those two are more similar than anything that would do with, like, the McCole Hardmans. Like, that's a whole different wide receiver there.
Right, but they still try to do it with Xavier Worthy. So, I mean, it's still kind of in their system. So, my thing is like, it's time to switch it up. I mean, if you're sitting there at 9 and there's not a Jeremiah Love, there's not a Reuben Bain, there's not a Peter Woods, or something like that just makes you really want to draft them, and it's just coming down to best player available. Well, maybe it's Jordan Tyson. Well, maybe it's Carnell Tate. Maybe it's whoever. I mean, Mekhi Lemon fits the mold of both of those, because I think that kid's good enough to be what Brett Veach and Andy Love in wide receivers and be another level of that. But I mean, I think it's time, and it's not just wide receiver, it's with every position. I mean, just sometimes you shouldn't overlook the obvious. And I feel like that's what Brett Veach has done in past drafts that's really hurt him.
Well, here's my thing. I think this year, if you really, okay, so let's talk about Rasheed Rice for just a little bit. Appreciate it, Sammy, on that, because you've got us into now this. And let me go ahead and get to this before we get to Rasheed Rice really quick. Oh, I'm sorry. Sammy had another one. Leo in a 3-4 will be better than any DE in this draft. I don't know if I could say that definitively.
No,
but Leo could be a good pass rusher.
I think me and you talked about this. I don't remember if it was on live stream or podcast, or if we were just in person talking about it. But I do think it's a possibility that Leo's been hampered in his situation.
Oh, absolutely. I just said that earlier. I said he's been hampered his development, I think, here. That's why the contract, I don't know what it's going to look like.
Absolutely, dude. Like, Leo could have been used in different defenses and been an absolute dog. And, I mean, he has been anyway, but, I mean, he could have been making killer money by now. He could be coming up on a massive contract, because I think he can do a lot of things that some of these guys that are getting these massive contracts can do. You could line him up on the edge of a 3-4, and he could probably terrorize people.
Leo's 6'3", 250, Steve. He's the same size as like the kid from Texas Tech that everybody's wanting to take. He's the same size as Romello Height. He's the same size
Romello
as
Height's
Bailey.
actually lighter than him, right?
Some of them are in the 240s. Yeah, Height, I think, in the 240s. So I guess Leo could actually be that stand-up guy, but we just don't run that
That's
stand-up guy.
look,
That's your thing.
Here's my thing. Love David Bailey. And I see people talking about him all the time, but it's like, if we won't even use Leo like that, who could do that? And we didn't use Josh Uche that way.
Who does do that?
Right. Like, we're not going to do that. We're just not going to do it. Like, David Bailey would have to learn how to get his hand in the dirt and play off the edge. And I just don't know if that's going to work for him. That's not going to work for him. Now, granted, he is a very intense player, and I think that he can adapt. I do think he's good enough to adapt. He's just a damn good football player. And he is ferociously gets after the quarterback more than anybody else in this draft, in my opinion. But there's just a lot. There's some things that hamper it, and the fit is just not there. So, yeah, I mean, it's some stuff to think about with Leo. You could do different things and everything, but I don't think Spags is going to up and change his defense to a 3-4. It's just not going to happen.
No, and I think that's where a lot of the as us being Chiefs content creators, there's that fine line, because we see everybody in the comments and they say this and they say that, and a lot of people will take. So, for example, Spags. There's a lot of people that want David Bailey. And so when we come out with the whole thing, as we try to tell things from maybe what a Chiefs perspective looks like. And again, Leopards don't change their spots very much. So you got to kind of really take into account what Spags kind of guys are. And David Bailey's just not it. But if we say that, people kind of come at you from a like, well, you all guys don't like David Bailey. You don't know what you're talking about. It's not that I don't dislike David Bailey. I think David Bailey could be good in the right spot. I just don't know if that's with Spags. I would honestly think Spags would value Keldrick Falk over David Bailey because of the body size. He may value LT Overton from Alabama, who I think is slow as molasses coming off the line.
Yeah.
And probably shouldn't even be a round 2 pick when it's all said and done. But, dude, there's just so many things. I think he would prefer taking Peter Woods and kicking him to a defensive end before he would take David Bailey half the time. But that's kind of the thing. And a lot of Chiefs fans are kind of in that mode where they want to see something different. They want to see the David Baileys of the world. But you guys, if you're not getting rid of your coaches and you're not getting rid of Spags, you're not probably going to see it. So as much as you want it, I don't think you can get mad at people for saying that it's probably not going to happen. And then on the other side, people wanted Andy Reid. You brought back Andy Reid. Well, when we don't run the ball this year and we don't get back under center, I don't know what to tell you, because you're getting what you're signing up for, and you sign up for it by your head coach.
Right. Yeah, for sure. You want to grab that? I can't read that. It's too tiny.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was waiting for you to read it. I didn't know. Okay, my bad. Yeah. TGZ, look at us just being on here being dumb.
Look, TGZ, man, I can't, it's so tiny. I'm on my phone. I can't read it.
You were trying to read it, I thought, and I was like, man, maybe Steve just can't read today. Okay, what's your take on the tight end room? Hardly saw Noah Gray, Jared Wiley, or Robert Tonyan. Are these guys just not developing properly? Kelsey is still Kelsey. Steve, I think I know what you're going to say here, obviously. We would both like to see Kelsey come back and give it one more run this year.
Yeah.
But you absolutely cannot be like, well, Kelsey's back. Let's not address the tight end room. Because I think it's high time that we go get a playmaker that if you're going to get Kelsey back for one more year, let's get somebody in here that is better than a 4th-round pick in Jared Wiley, better than a mid-round pick in Noah Gray. Robert Tonyan's in his 30s, okay?
Well, yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, these guys are just not it. We need to invest in the tight end room and maybe have Kelsey mentor them in his final year. How about that?
Yeah, dude, you have to go get a guy. You have to go get an Isiah Likely. You have to go get Kyle Pitts or Sadiq or somebody. You have to get someone like that, because, yes, I want Kelsey to come back and give it one more run. I think I would love to see him go out in a more respectable fashion than what he would be if he left on a 6-11 season missing the playoffs. I just don't like that for the Hall of Fame career that he's had. I would hate to see it end that way. I would love to see him come back. But the fact of the matter is, I don't want to see him come back in 100% capacity. I want to see Kelsey at 50% capacity at the most. I want to see one of these other guys come in and take the reins from him. And I mean, just think, man, Kelsey was still one of the top tight ends in the league. He was right behind Trey McBride in yardage, who was the top in the league. And, Kelsey can still ball. But how much better could Kelsey be if he was only having to do 50% of the volume? And there's another guy in there who can do a lot of the similar things. I think that's definitely the way they need to look at it. In tight end, I didn't address that earlier when I was talking about all the different holes they need to fill. Tight end's definitely one of those they need to be looking at. 110%. I mean, honestly, once you get past the defensive ends or it's pass rush in general, defensive line, and you get past the running back thing that's pretty glaring. You might want to get a receiver because ours weren't that great. We've got to figure something out there, or hopefully O'Shea can get more out of them than Connor Embry was. Maybe our receivers aren't that bad. Maybe maybe something else can happen there. But I think tight end's right there in the mix, dude. Like you got to figure out something there.
Yeah, Chiefs 1963 Casey Mo says Gray's only 26 years old. I think there was one time that we thought Noah Gray could be the successor, but it just don't look like he's got it. It just does not feel like he's got it.
It feels like when I thought he was ready to take the reins over, it's like Kelsey was still here for another 2 or 3, and it's funny. I want to say 2 or 3 years, but I think Gray's only been in the league for 3, like he's not been around very long. So I don't know. It does feel like there was a small window there, but maybe there wasn't. Maybe that was just, us thinking it was.
I'm with you. I think that this makes number 9 pick a lot harder too. So for example, if you were to see Breece Hall get signed, I think you're writing off Jeremiah Love instantly. Now you've still got the option for pass rusher. You've got the option for a wide receiver. We talked about a lot of wide receivers. I think if you get a wide receiver, you need to have somebody, and this will kind of go back to the Rasheed Rice thing. Are they going to lock up Rasheed Rice long term? I don't think you can at this point. I think Rasheed Rice has shown himself to be a liability. I think this could be his last year in Kansas City. I just don't see it. He would have to have some magical turnaround this year and join a convent or something.
I mean, when you thought the worst was behind him and they were going to, get through that whole process and everything, I think there was some chatter amongst other channels and, other, fans and stuff that were just like, man, maybe they're going to go ahead and extend Rasheed Rice early because he's a dog, dude. Like the dude's good. We need to make sure he stays here. But I think their tune changed tremendously. Like the minute that all that other drama started to unfold, it was like, we got to get this guy away from here. He's nothing but just, a liability, trouble, blah, blah, blah.
Right. This newer thing come up. It's kind of been swept under the rug. It looks like nothing come of it. But it's the perception of it so much. And it's just the whole it's tough to pay a lot of money for something. Like, are you really going out and buying, or like, I love the way Range Rovers look, but boy, they suck. You better have $2,000 a month to keep it in the shop. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know if I'm willing to invest that much money if I'm scared I'm going to get my returns diminished very quickly by something dumb that this kid just will not clean up. He's got to clean it up off the field. And I think you give him enough chances to do it. And it's just something's coming up all the time, and I think that's a scary thought. So I do believe Rasheed Rice does need to be replaced. Can you do it this year? Can you wait and do it next year? That remains to be seen. But we need receiver help along the board, and that's why I think the whole Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon, Jordan Tyson debate sits there at number 9, along with your Peter Woods and your pass rushers. But like you just mentioned, we got to look at – I don't know why you took me off the screen. That really you pissed me right off right there.
I don't know what happened. I'm sorry, man.
And I'm going to tell you something right now.
I didn't mean to. I'm trying to help
again. You. No, I'm joking.
Well, you're gonna have to do the super chats and stuff. I can't do it.
I will. I mean, it's cool. But here's the thing. I think that you have to look. Like you said, you mentioned Sadiq. Sadiq may be the only tight end, and a lot of people aren't sold on Sadiq because he didn't like crush it. But Oregon didn't use him completely right either, to be honest. But I think trading down and maybe looking at Sadiq might have to be a possibility depending on how free agency plays out. But we'll get to it. Here we go. Let's go to some more super chats. Keon Watson with a 2-bomb said, is the Titans going to release L'Jarius Sneed? It's possible, Steve. Would you want to see L'Jarius Sneed back in KC? I'm just kind of over that one.
No, I think that that ran its course already. I think it was pretty obvious that the Chiefs got out of that at the right time.
Yeah,
he had knee issues. He just played his best year of football. I don't think we're ever going to see another year like that from L'Jarius Sneed. Those knee issues have come up. He's had some off-field issues as well, and I think the Chiefs moved on at the right time. That's definitely not one you want to backtrack to. Especially for the money.
Didn't he have some big stuff? Like, he got indicted on a charge of failure to report from a grand jury in Dallas. What is it with Chiefs players in damn Dallas, bro? Can we just ban these entire people from going to Texas? Like, Mahomes, you just don't even go back to Texas either, buddy. Because you might have you might have the sensation to go to Dallas. Don't do it. Like, God bless. Get them out. Let's go. Only one Chief KT, baby, with a 2. Says trading Rice makes no sense. We should just find him and move on. Steve, do you think trading Rasheed Rice does make sense, or do you say no? Because I think if somebody's willing to give me a second-round pick, I am absolutely listening for Rasheed Rice if I do not plan to lock him up long-term.
Well, yeah, that goes hand in hand. If you're planning on trying to keep him around long-term, then obviously you're not going to be looking to trade him away. But if you're not planning to retain him, then absolutely get something for him. Why let him play throughout his rookie contract and let him walk? If you can get something for him. That's kind of the dilemma you're in with Trent McDuffie right now, right? Because it's like he's on his 5th-year option, and it's like, do you really want to just let him play for the whole year and let him walk away scot-free? You get nothing in return for the hell of a draft pick you found? Or do you trade him and get some draft capital? Do you get something in return? And now with McDuffie, and I guess Rasheed Rice would kind of be in the same boat. Like, maybe the year of production is more valuable to you than the draft picks. That's a possibility, but I feel like that would be more with Rasheed Rice than McDuffie, because I think McDuffie can garner a first. Rasheed Rice isn't going to garner a first-round draft pick.
No.
Or even close to it. You'd be probably lucky to get a 3rd or 4th for him the way he's acting. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Maybe he might be a guy they let just run his course and then get out, you know, because they can get a lot.
More sense to run the course than McDuffie, because I feel like McDuffie, you can get something from McDuffie. But again, we just had this debate. Both of these guys, like, we have got a lot to replace this year, and this roster is going to look a lot different. And it's like, these are at least 2 guys that even if you don't get something for them and they walk after their, 4th and 5th year, even if they walk in the offseason, it's like, well, at least you got the transition for Mahomes to come back. You got you got him back this year. You got him back in the flow. Maybe they just say it as well. We got through a rough spot here. Didn't have to do total rebuilds, and that might be worth enough to not get a draft pick in the future.
Right. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting to watch this offseason play out, dude.
Absolutely. Rashad, I get it. Rashad Rozier, baby. I see the last name Rozier and it reminded me of Terry Rozier. He used to play for U of L. So then I was like, Rashad, I got you. Okay. 10 Bomb said, I appreciate the insight, fellas. Go Chiefs. Appreciate you, Rashad. This is the off season. I know a lot of people don't. Dude, we get this a lot. It's so strange. We're like a podcast. We're like fans that talk about the Chiefs. People get so mad if we talk about things. They don't like it. They're like, the Chiefs would never sign Russell Wilson. Why are you talking about that? And it's like, well, because we're talking about it because somebody suggested it that the Chiefs do it, and so we talked about it.
If you watch the video, you listen to us talk, you'd probably see that we have the same exact viewpoint as you.
Right, but people don't want to talk about it. They're just set in their ways. They're like, well, let's not even talk about that. It's like, well, that's kind of what we do. But we appreciate it.
Off-season, man. Appreciate the support, brother.
Absolutely. KT back with another 2 says, so cut Rice, bring back Tyreek Hill. He's a liability. Wait, so cut Rice, bring Tyreek back. He's a liability. I think he's trying to say like they're both liabilities, maybe, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I would hope, because I think Hill's a liability as well.
Yeah, Hill is a liability.
Yeah, but I mean, it wouldn't be so bad to see them get the whole damn band back together, would it? Like, I feel like that would be
going kind of a cool. This year, Steve, if you could pick, would you rather have back Rasheed Rice or Tyreek Hill this year? If you could only pick one, like if you could bring them together, that'd be funny. But if you could only have one, which one would you rather have?
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill just feels. I want to get back to some fun.
But you have to remember, Tyreek Hill's coming off a nasty knee injury.
That's true. He may not be the same.
Right. But I mean, if you're just going by just pure talent and what we know they can do in the Chiefs system, I'm taking Tyreek Hill all day.
If Tyreek Hill can effectively do the Chiefs system like we know Tyreek Hill can, I would take him back, because I think if all else fails, you can get a guy in round 2 or round 3 that can replicate what Rice does if Jalen Royals can't do it already. It's very possible.
You pointed one out the other day, and I watched a lot of his tape, dude, and I agreed. Yeah, Omar Cooper.
Yeah,
I think
he's awesome.
I think you were right. Now, you did say you think he can do what Rasheed Rice does better than Rasheed Rice.
I think that's just as good at
I think that's yet to be seen. Especially in the league. But, I mean, I do like the kid. I think he's great. Just Rasheed Rice is just tremendous with the ball in his hands, right? Like, he's a receiver that once he has that ball, he's a running back. And he's a monster. And, I mean, you only see that with a few other guys in the league that have that ability. And those are the huge names you're talking. You're talking Jamar Chase. You're talking Deebo Samuel, a few years ago. You're talking A.J. Brown. Like, that's the kind of like just ability that Rasheed Rice has with the ball in his hand. Like he is that good. So it sucks to try to replace that. Maybe Cooper could do it. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, a lot of people want Mekhi Lemon. They think Mekhi Lemon could do it. So it depends. You got to see what you got. But there's some players there. I think there's some very good like gems in this draft class. It may not be the strongest draft class in the world, but you are going to go through, and at the end of it, maybe 4 or 5 years down the road, you're going to look back and be able to pick out at least 20, 25 names here that's going to be solid NFL players.
Right. Yeah, absolutely agree.
So, yeah, that's pretty much the extent of the conversation today, man. I think that, you know, the gist of it is Pacheco's probably just done here in Kansas City, and I think it's been confirmed. The Chiefs have to now try to replace this running back room while also trying to retool an entire roster across the board. It's going to be interesting to see who we look at in free agency. Is it going to be Breece Hall, or are we just going to keep overlooking that? Maybe they just try to do something else and get Jeremiah Love. Who knows? The draft comes into play, but I think first and foremost, we've got to get through free agency. That's going to determine the draft. So you can sit here and do draft all day long, but whatever they do in free agency is going to determine the draft, in my opinion. So I think you got to do it in the order of the process that it plays out in. And then other than that, the salary cap thing I think helps us out. And then Kubiak coming into the AFC West, I think that puts another like formidable opponent on the board for the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes going into the second round of this dynasty.
Right. Yeah, man. It's going to be a fun offseason. You guys stick around with us the entire offseason, man. We're going to have a lot of content. So good conversations. I'm sure lots of news will be happening. Free agency's coming up sooner than later. We got all kinds of draft content. I think we do some really killer draft content. I know that you guys have been around for a while, know that. We're going to have a ton of that for you. And it's just, you know, it sucks coming off a season like we just came off of, but it does leave a lot of excitement for the offseason to see how the Chiefs are going to try to correct that path and, you know, fill in the gaps and get back to competitive.
Right. Melinda says she likes this earlier time slot. Look, if that's something you guys like, we may start throwing up some like polls and stuff about like, do you like your Sundays? Would you rather have an evening slot or a late slot? Because we're getting to the off season, so we are going to start switching up content maybe just a little bit, because in the off season it's just a little slower. We know, we can tell you guys during the season we're getting 10K plus per video, and in the off season we're lucky to hit 4,000 and 5,000 plays. So there's less than half of you guys paying attention. Like, Chiefs fans are kind of checked out. I think they're all kind of burnt out, kind of like the team has been. So we still want to give everybody the news and stuff and everything, and give you some opinions and a place where you can talk. But this may get switched up, so we may adjust some things like that in time slots and this and that, because we know a lot of people get up early and don't want to be up late and different things. But appreciate you guys. Again, hit that like button on the way out if you haven't sub already. Steve, I mean, it's been fun talking about it, man, and I guess we're going to be back maybe with a video tomorrow or Tuesday, maybe a live stream tomorrow, Tuesday. Our schedules are kind of crazy right now, and of course, again, this is the off season, so it's just a little wild. But yeah, man, I appreciate you guys being here. We'll catch you next time. Go Chiefs.
Wow.